Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking into the stars, specifically at Taurus and Virgo, two earth signs.
Right.
We've got some interesting stuff here about whether they, click or clash, the sensual bull and the analytical virgin.
It's a classic Earth on Earth pairing.
So the big question really is, can these two practical signs build something lasting? Or do their differences cause too much, friction?
Well, the first thing that jumps out is that shared Earth element.
Yeah.
It's a really strong foundation.
Okay.
Both are drawn to what's real, tangible, reliable. But how that earthiness shows up, that's where it gets interesting.
How so?
They both appreciate stability, security, sure. It's a starting point. But their approaches, their expressions of that value, they can be quite different. We need to unpack that a bit.
Absolutely. So digging in, both Taurus and Virgo, they want dependability. They're not really into superficial stuff. The material we looked at highlights, they're both hardworking, pay attention to detail.
Yeah.
But like you said, differently. Taurus being Venus ruled. Venus is about love, beauty, pleasure, right? So for Taurus, it's very much about sensory comfort. Soft fabrics, delicious food, a beautiful home, creating a real haven.
Exactly. And then you shift to Virgo, traditionally linked with Mercury communication, intellect, and also Ceres, which brings in that nurturing, practical side.
Okay.
For Virgo, the focus is often more meticulous. They get satisfaction from order, efficiency, often from being helpful, being of service.
I see. So they both want that secure home base.
Yeah.
But Taurus maybe focuses on how it feels, the comfort. And Virgo is more about how it works, how organized it is.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Taurus might love sinking into a big comfy sofa, just appreciating the feel of it, how it looks.
Right.
Virgo might appreciate the sofa too, but they're always thinking, is it well made? Is it placed right for the room's flow? Is it practical?
Makes sense. But that core agreement on needing a solid foundation, that seems like a huge plus. Source of understanding.
Definitely. And it goes beyond just the physical stuff, the house and money.
Oh.
Yeah. The source material mentions they both tend to look for, serious relationships, long-term connections, not just flings.
That fits. Earth signs often crave that stability in relationships too.
Exactly. And Taurus often finds Virgo's sharp mind and organizational skills really attractive. That ability to structure things, that can appeal to the sometimes more laid-back Taurus.
And flipping that, what does Virgo see in Taurus?
Well, they often really admire that Taurian steadfastness, that reliable, solid presence.
Calming, maybe?
Yeah, the text mentions that calming effect, plus Taurus's natural sensuality. That can be really comforting for Virgo, who can sometimes be a bit, mentally busy. They find comfort in predictability.
So it's like they find a safe harbor in each other, built on shared core values.
Precisely. That shared earthiness provides a deep sense of emotional security too. Knowing your partner gets your fundamental outlook on life, that's huge for both of them.
Okay, so we've painted a picture here with some real potential for things to work smoothly. Let's get into the specific harmony points mentioned. First off, this shared practicality. Being grounded. It seems like that earth connection means they approach the day-to-day stuff similarly, like work, money, home.
Absolutely. There's likely a built-in respect for the effort needed to build a stable life. They probably won't argue constantly about, say, saving money or keeping the house decent.
In principle, anyway.
Right, in principle. Their methods might differ, as we said, but the basic value is shared.
And then there's this appreciation for quality. That seems like another connection point.
It is. Taurus, with Venus, loves beauty, things that feel good, look good, taste good. And Virgo, with that sharp eye for detail and function, also values things that are well-made, that work properly, that last.
So whether it's art or furniture or even just like good ingredients for dinner.
Yeah, there's a good chance they'll see eye to eye on what constitutes good. Their reasons might be slightly different, sensory versus practical precision, but they often land in the same place.
It's interesting how those different angles could actually make their appreciation richer, maybe?
Could be. One notices the beauty, the other notices the craftsmanship. It can be complementary.
The text also really stresses their loyalty and commitment.
Big time. Once they're in, they're generally in. Neither Taurus nor Virgo is typically looking for a quick exit.
They want something solid, enduring.
Exactly. It ties back to that need for security. They value reliability in a partner and are more likely to, work through problems rather than just bail. That builds a really strong foundation.
Okay, and one more harmony point. Mutual support. How does that play out?
Well, Taurus can be really grounding for Virgo. Encourage them to chill out, relax, enjoy the moment, the simple pleasures.
Which Virgo might need sometimes if they're overthinking things.
Right. And on the flip side, Virgo can bring their organizational skills, their analytical approach, to help Taurus, maybe with planning, sorting things out, problem solving.
So it's like a trade-off. Taurus brings the calm and sensuality, and Virgo brings the clarity and practicality.
Precisely. Can be a really beneficial exchange, balancing each other out.
Okay, it sounds, honestly, pretty good so far. Very stable, very supportive.
There's definitely a lot going for it.
But, no pairing is perfect. The text does flag some potential friction zones.
Always.
Let's start with a big one. Taurus's famous stubbornness versus Virgo's tendency towards, criticism.
Yeah, that's a classic potential clash. Taurus digs their heels in, resists change.
Fixed earth the sun.
Exactly. And Virgo, with that analytical mind, naturally spots flaws or areas for improvement. And they might voice them.
Ooh, I can see the problem.
Right. The source points out Taurus might feel constantly picked at, judged, while Virgo might feel like their helpful suggestions are just being ignored or dismissed.
Like, I'm just trying to help, versus, stop telling me what to do.
Pretty much. Imagine Taurus being happy with a routine, and Virgo keeps suggesting ways to make it better or more efficient. That could definitely wear thin.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, what's another potential challenge area?
The difference in expressing sensuality and affection.
Ah, right. Taurus is very Venusian, very physical.
Loves touch, physical affection, sensory indulgence. Virgo, while absolutely capable of deep love, can be, more reserved outwardly. Less demonstrative physically, perhaps.
So their love languages might be different.
That's a good way to think about it. The text suggests this needs conscious effort. Taurus might need more overt affection that Virgo naturally gives, or Virgo might express love through acts of service that Taurus doesn't immediately recognize as affection.
Leading to misunderstandings, potentially, feeling unloved even when love is there.
It's a possibility if they aren't aware of how the other operates. Then there's the clash between Taurus's love for comfort, maybe even a bit of cozy clutter, and Virgo's need for order, cleanliness, everything in its place.
Oh boy. The neat freak versus the comfort creature.
It could definitely be a source of day-to-day friction. While they both like a nice home, how they achieve that can be very different. Taurus might prioritize relaxation, Virgo prioritizes tidiness.
I can picture the little disagreements. Where does this go? Does it matter? Yes.
Exactly. And finally, the text mentions their different paces.
Pace, as in speed?
Yeah. Taurus tends to be slower, more deliberate. They take their time. Virgo often moves faster, values efficiency, likes to get things done.
So impatience could creep in.
It could. Virgo might see Taurus as slow, maybe even lazy sometimes. And Taurus might feel Virgo is always rushing, maybe a bit anxious or pushy. Finding a shared rhythm takes work.
Okay, so quite a few potential bumps in the road there, despite the shared foundation.
It seems that way. Their core earthiness is shared, but their temperaments and approaches definitely diverge in key areas.
But the good news is the text offers ways to navigate this, right? Strategies for success.
Absolutely. And the main thing, really, underpinning all the strategies is mutual understanding. Genuinely appreciating why the other person is the way they are.
So for Taurus, what's the advice?
For Taurus, it's about trying to be open to Virgo's input, seeing it as constructive, trying not to take it personally, recognizing that Virgo often just wants to improve things, not attack them.
Okay, easier said than done sometimes, but crucial.
Definitely. And for Virgo.
Let me guess. Deliver criticism gently.
Exactly. Tact is key. Focusing on helpful feedback, not just pointing out flaws. The text kind of hints, avoid nagging.
Good advice for any relationship, probably.
Probably. Compromise on routines and how the house is run is also vital.
Right, they can't just expect the other person to completely change.
No. They need to find a middle ground that respects Taurus's need for comfort and Virgo's need for order.
And the text also mentioned they can help each other, like lean into the differences.
Yes. Taurus can actively encourage Virgo to relax, enjoy sensuality, step away from the mental checklists.
Which would be really good for Virgo.
Totally. And Virgo can help Taurus with organization. Maybe focus a bit more on health and well-being alongside the indulgences.
So the differences become strengths if they approach it right.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
Taurus brings pleasure, Virgo brings structure. They can complement each other beautifully.
And the big one, communication.
Always.
Oh.
The text stresses how vital, open, honest communication is. Especially for this pair, because their styles might differ. They need to be able to talk about needs and frustrations before things build up.
Making sure both feel heard and safe to speak up.
Exactly. They might need to consciously work on finding a way to talk that bridges their perspective.
Okay, so wrapping this all up, synthesizing everything, what are the main takeaways for you, our listener, about Taurus and Virgo compatibility?
Well, the source material is pretty clear. There's strong potential here for a stable, supportive relationship. That shared earth element, the practical values, that's a powerful base. But the challenges come from those temperamental differences, how they express themselves, their pace, their priorities around order versus comfort. Success really hinges on understanding, patience, and truly appreciating what the other brings, even if it's different.
Yeah, the text really highlights how they can complement each other. Taurus offering that grounded sensuality, that enjoyment of the physical world, and Virgo bringing the analysis, the attention to detail, that focus on well-being and improvement.
Exactly. It's about seeing those differences not as problems, but as different expressions of that shared earthiness.
Yeah.
If they can value that, learn from each other, the bond can be incredibly strong.
So do we have a clear picture, it feels like? Well, it's not maybe the most explosive chemistry in the Zodiac, but it's got potential for deep roots, like a garden that needs tending.
I think that's a good way to put it. The source offers a nuanced view. It's not guaranteed, nothing is, but the potential for something lasting and enriching is definitely there, provided they both put in the effort to understand and accommodate.
A perfect summary. Okay, and that leads us to our final thought for you listening. Think about this balanced sensuality versus analysis, comfort versus order in your own life and relationships, whatever your signs might be. What can the Taurus-Virgo dynamic teach us all about appreciating different ways of loving and living, and maybe finding strength in those differences? Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.